Hey everyone, George Mountain here, and in this tutorial we will review 5 ways to get help in Python. Learning a programming language is not easy. You are literally learning a new language, and I want to give you 5 ways to get yourself unstuck, I hope with some grace, when you are coding with Python. Now, I will provide more resources in the notes to the video. I'm in a Jupyter notebook right now. If you're not familiar with those, I'll have resources on learning that as well. Let's go ahead and get started with the 5 tips. And if you've got other tips as a Python user, please leave them in the comments. Always like to hear how other people help themselves get out of a rut in Python. All right, so step 0. Yes, there's the internet. You can search for things. Try a search engine. If you get an error, search for it. See what you find. I'm going to give you some other ways here because going to a search engine can be a rabbit hole in some cases. So these are some more structured ways, but it never hurts to do a web search. Like I said, if any errors you see, any questions you have, try it. Don't spend too much time. If you're getting to the second or third page, then maybe some of these more structured approaches might be what you need to do. So first one here is to get the help documentation. You can use this question mark operator here in Python to do so. So for example, I'm going to bring in pandas. And let's say, for example, we would like to know more about the read Excel function here. Now all I'm going to do is put the question mark here. Here's our package and the function that we want. Let's go ahead and run this. You're going to see that a pop-up box appears. This will show us all the arguments. It'll show us some more documentation, things to know about the package. So that's pretty helpful, and it'll pop out if you want, or we'll close it now. We'll also keep in mind here that any package is going to have some documentation as well. So if you want to see everything about pandas, let's run that, and this will give us some high level information about the package. Now, maybe the summary isn't too helpful, but maybe you're working on a new package, you just kind of want to know a little bit about what it is before you go off to the web and spend another 15 minutes on social media or what have you. So there's that. And again, a rule of thumb here is the more time you can spend inside your system, probably the better, because you're less likely to get sidetracked here. So in that spirit, we can find documentation to some rather important Python packages right from inside the Jupyter notebook. It will take you externally, but at least you have a pretty focused taskbar here. I'm going to go up to help, and you're going to see, and these are really the heavy hitters of working with data in Python. Things like NumPy, pandas is down here, matplotlib for visualizations. So that'll open it right up. And really any package you're working with, it's not a bad idea to just go to the source. If you're not sure about what an argument is or what a piece of output is, rather than just doing a wild goose chase on the internet, go right to the package documentation. That's going to be a more reliable source for you. Okay, so that's number 2. Now let's go to number 3. This one is if you are stuck, you are trying to debug, and you just cannot understand why your code is not working or behaving the way you want. I'm going to go ahead, and I've got a little website iframed right in here, the power of Jupyter notebooks, right? So this is called Python Tutor. What Python Tutor is going to do is kind of visualize our code process here. So I'm going to put in a short loop here, and then we are actually going to run this and visualize it in Python Tutor. Okay, so let's just make a rather simple list here. I'm going to do A, B, and C. Okay, that's my list. And I didn't put quotation marks to close it, so that's why it was looking weird with the colors. So there's our list. And now what I want to do is loop through all of these, and I'm going to put all these in uppercase. So there's my list, colon, let's print v.upper. Okay, so let's say that you're doing something like this. You're writing a loop, defining a function, and it's just not working for you. Now Python Tutor is great because what this is going to do is visualize it for you. So I'm going to just walk through this. You're going to see, okay, here's my list, here are the items in my list, and now, okay, I'm in the second line of our loop here. I'm going through, I'm iterating, right? So iterating through each V in my list, and I am making those uppercase. So you're really seeing how this is being executed. So this is a really nice way to troubleshoot, debug what you're up to. If you're just really not sure, Python Tutor, hop over here and try to visually inspect what's happening. So that's number 3. Number 4, compose a minimally reproducible example. So if you're not sure what this is, the idea is that if you have a problem with your code, let's say for example, you're trying to unpivot your table and you have months along the columns and you want to be able to move them to the rows or something like that. Now if you get really specific about that, and people that are trying to help you don't really see the data that you're working with, or you can't share it because it's confidential, what have you, it can get really hard to help. If people don't have a minimal viable product from what you're working with, then good luck trying to fix it. So that's the same idea here, minimally reproducible example. So a lot of the time what you want to do here is just come up with a very small data set, nothing confidential, rather simple, and you can use that as a little model in a way of what your problem is. Now, unfortunately, Python does not come with any data sets out of the box. R has that, and that's a nice way that we have these universal data sets in R that people can use as these workhorses to share minimally reproducible examples. But fortunately, there are some packages that allow us to do something similar. I'm going to use Seaborn, which is a pretty standard data visualization package that does have some data sets included as part of the package. So to check them out, I'm going to run this get data set names, and we're going to see a few a few data sets here. Now any of these are worth using. I'm going to use the MPG, so you can play around with these, see what you get. And for example, let's use MPG. I'm going to load the data set. This is how we actually import one of these data sets into our environment here. And let's do mpg.head. So we have a rather small data set. Of course, this is the whole data set that I just loaded in. But what we could even do is just put the head method right here. And then we're going to print mpg. And that's it. That's our whole data set. So this is a pretty cool, minimally reproducible example. You can use this to just kind of practice, demonstrate, show what you're trying to do, and this way, anybody has access to these Seaborn data sets. This is a manageable number of rows and columns, so it becomes a lot easier to help you if you need people to get involved, external parties, and that brings us to my last one, which is you really should do all of these things that I've mentioned and maybe even more if you're going to get onto a forum. I'm thinking of Stack Overflow. Reddit's got a lot of good ones too, and there are plenty of Slack groups, Discord servers, all sorts of stuff and places to get help. But a lot of these places want you to do your homework first, and understandably. And if you're not familiar with the culture there, it can be pretty jarring, especially Stack Overflow. If you have not set up a reproducible example, if you've not tried to debug, go through your errors, understand what they are, it can feel pretty brutal. So that's why I'm leaving this as the last step in getting help. You really want to make sure that you've done some of these basic steps before you go out to a forum, because people don't want to serve as a free consultant for you, which is understandable. At the same time, sometimes they could do a more cordial job of guiding you to a post like this or whatever guide to help people get the steps that they need, and then come back if they're still stuck. But anyway, I digress on that point. I hope that this is helpful. So these are my 5 tips if you are stuck with Python, how to get help. If you've got more, please share them, leave them in the comments. I hope that this was helpful. I will have some more resources if you want to get deeper into Python, and please check out my other videos. Do all those things that people on a YouTube channel say, right? Like it, subscribe, comment, etc. All right. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Bye.